Hey guys, Forever Zero here. This is going to be part 2 of the time-based strategy. This is going to be more discussing CT side and how you can use it. I do apologize. I originally completed the video and uploaded it to YouTube, and apparently my microphone was very low or messed up. So here we are, we're going to do this. So the topics of today regarding this strategy is it's going to be planned aggression, expected player positions, vulnerabilities, and how you can figure them out based off your spawns that would call for another play, and feasibility of a strat, testing out feasibility of a strat based off something common that CT does. So the first two things that we're going to talk about are planned aggression and expected player positions, because they kind of go hand in hand. So I already did all the timing, so this is the best B spawn that you can get, and to go here it takes 8 seconds to get to the door and to peek up the tunnels. The CT it takes 9 to 10. The T it takes 9 to 10 seconds. So when you peek here, you get there before the T does. So a couple of things that are important about doing the timings for CT, and if you haven't watched the first video, you have to watch the first video to understand why I'm doing this and the method. So when we're doing planned aggression, this is the first topic. Planned aggression is based off the best spawn a CT player has. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick and give you the general understanding of how to do planned aggression. So this is the best spawn. It takes 8 seconds to run in a straight line and peek upper B. So the route you take is important. So when you do these timings, you have to kind of just tell your teammates the route that you took. So I'm going to show you an example here, 2 examples of when it can go wrong. It could potentially go wrong because it wasn't communicated properly to your teammate. So this is, I'm going to go through window. So it took me 9 seconds to get there. So now I'm in line with the T. I'm about the same time as the terrorist. I'm going to show you guys another example here. When you do these timings, the route is very important. See how you see now that's 10 seconds. See how you're in line with the T now? So the fastest route that you can take is just running in a straight line. So what does this mean? So this is how you set up planned aggression. Planned aggression, the purpose of it is to first you have to figure out the T side, the best spawn to upper B tunnels, the timing of that, and the timing of the CT best spawn. So for the T, just to do the sake of it, the best spawn for T for B, I believe it's about right here, and it takes about 9 to 10 seconds to peek upper B, peek from upper B. So about 10 seconds, 9 to 10 seconds. So the purpose of planned aggression is that since you plan on taking this, and that you know that this guy takes 9 to 10 seconds to peek over B, you can do multiple different things now. The purpose of this is to limit the amount of utility you have to use. So this CT, it takes 8 seconds to get to the door. So knowing this, he can now run behind, run backwards, avoid the flash, and then peek over B without getting blind, because if the T does throw a flash into B, it's not going to be worth much. The purpose of all this is to make sure that no one gets to the left-hand side of tunnels. So that's why you're taking a gun battle, attempting to, because this is planned aggression. Planned aggression is more about giving your teammates the confidence that the side's clear and they don't have to focus on it. So now you send 3 people towards B, having this planned aggression with 2 that are going to push up upper B. The person that's running in first can now throw a variety of different flashes. He doesn't have to throw into B tunnels, he can just throw it there if he wants to. He doesn't even really need to throw a flashbang really, if he doesn't want to. Because he's running in backwards, now knowing that this T takes 9 to 10 seconds and he'll beat him every single time. So now this gives your teammates the peace and confidence that this side's clear and that you can just focus on the left. So you use minimal amount of utility, taking upper B control immediately. So you can either flash, you can throw a nade, or you can even molly it. It's all up to you how you want to take it. Obviously molly would push him out. Would push him pretty much out of tunnels. And then you push over B and take the battle early on. If you watch Fnatic vs Navi, IEM Katowice 2016, that's happening right now. Fnatic had a really good CT side with a lot of aggression and a lot of mid-round adjustments. I would really suggest watching it in terms of CT playing ability for Dust 2. It was really good. So let's plan aggression. Plan aggression is all about taking your best spawn and being aggressive with it and utilizing the least amount of utility. So in this case, the best spawn for B is right there. It takes 8 seconds. Best spawn to upper B is 9 to 10 seconds. The routes need to be discussed with your teammates because, as you saw, there's a discrepancy difference. So obviously, running in a straight line is the fastest in this case. It's based off spawns, the best spawn T side and the best spawn CT side. This is with plan aggression. This is based off spawns both sides, but only 2. That's all that matters. All that matters is those 2 spawns. You can go further with it and develop the other spawn timings or an average, but I don't think it's really necessary when doing plan aggression based off spawns. So this moves into expected player positions. So expected player positions deals with calculating a time that a T is expected to be in an area. And then from there you do some type of aggressive tactic CT side to punish that area. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick and give you an example. So I'm going to take the best B spawn. It's like about around here. And I already did the timings, so I'll just do a run through real quick. From the best spawn at B, it takes 11 seconds to get the bottom of the steps at lower B. It takes 14 seconds to get to the end of lower B. So it's an average of 12.5 seconds. So I'll just do a brief run through real quick just to show you guys that I'm not lying to you. So 11 seconds, and it's probably like 10 if you drop off. Could be even the same. So 11 seconds to get to the bottom of steps, 14 to get to the end running. So the average is 12.5 seconds. So ideally, with the expected player positions, you want to do all spawns, except for, in this case, for Dust 2. It's not really, I would say it's kind of pointless to do the long spawns that are over here on the bottom of the ramp, like the one long spawn. I would say it's pointless because the chances of a team sending that guy to lower B are very unlikely, and if they did, they're, no offense, not very intelligent. So ideally you want to do all the spawns to get a pretty good average. So the point of this, you start creating an aggressive setup that you want to use on CT side, where you want to take the battle to them. So the point, using time-based strategy is really useful playing aggressive CT side. and then you play aggressive, and then you fall back after you make it work successfully. And sometimes teams are better at doing this. Sometimes teams are better at playing passive. So this is just a way how you can kind of calculate how to play aggressive a little bit more consistently. So I'm gonna go over something real quick. So let's say you know that it takes 12.5 seconds for a guy to get lower B. The team that you're playing against, when's the default, always sends 1 or 2 lower B. Now, with that information in mind, now you can take that 12.5 seconds or 11 seconds to run into the mid aggression. So you boost one up cat, you get 2 guys middle, you smoke off mid, you figure out a flash to throw off a cat, which from the last video, I think it was this. So that will blind lower B. You just gotta make sure your teammates are kind of aware that that flash is coming, so they didn't blind from it. So that lands probably about right here, and ideally you're just trying to get all of left side or anyone peeking up cat, and then you can have your teammates flash for themselves in some manner, and then you take you execute into that aggressive style CT side based off of time and when the expected T player is supposed to be there. You send one guy long, spotting long, and then you send spotting long or delayed cat because he's boosting, and then you send the other guy to B listening. So the purpose of the listener is to obviously make sure no one rushes B. But if your aggressive tactic actually works, and let's say they're sending 1 lower B and 1 upper B, you kill the guy lower B, and then this guy hears that the guy goes lower B again. He can now make that educated guess to push upper B slowly, not fully commit to it, and it may look like a bonehead play according to whoever's watching Go TV, but he's actually making like an educated decision based off having information. You killed 1 lower B, you know that they send 2 towards B at the beginning of the round, and now he's pushing upper B. So I would say that's kind of like it's like a calculated risk. So that would be some type of way that you could use expected player positions based off into aggressive setup mid, where you take a battle early on based off a guy flashing for 2 mid guys and the 2 mid guys taking a battle at mid. So other timings to put with this would be obviously timings to get across mid, and timings potentially someone can get to Xbox. And from there you can kind of start gathering how it needs to go. That's expected player positions. The problem with doing time-based strategy on CT side is, and I'll explain it, it's really easy. There's no 100% chance the player is going to be there. So let's say your aggressive tactic works based off knowing the expected player positions that are going to occur. So you got lower B, you got Xbox, and you have top mid green box. So you have these expected positions, the timings for them, and you know when you're going to move into your aggressive strategy. So ideally you want to move into it before the timings actually occur. So it wouldn't be 11 seconds walking, or maybe he even runs lower B. You kind of want to time it out so you catch this guy somewhere in lower B taking it slowly. So you kind of have to test it out as a team and when that time is. It might be different for all the teams that you play. So the time for the expected player position is just a guideline when to start. So obviously you don't want to start too early, because if you start too early, then this guy might not even come lower B, and now he holds a good angle on you. You see what I mean? So if you do the mid aggression too early and don't give this guy to actually work down lower B, based off knowing the times it takes to get to the end of lower B and get to the bottom steps, you actually put yourself at a disadvantage by playing aggressive. So let's say this tactic that we just went over, this thing that we just randomly threw together worked, and it worked the first time you ran it, and you want to run it again. So here's the thing about running it again. You have to add, ideally you have to add time to it. You have to add time to when you do the execute or the move into the CT side aggression mid-round, because as you are more aggressive against a T side team and you keep coming out on top, the more hesitant and slow that they're going to play. So this 12.5 average seconds it takes for maybe the best spawn, that might turn into like 17, that might turn into 18. So you kind of start having to add time due to hesitation, uncertainty of what you as a team are going to do. So that all encompasses based off expected player position. So you build setups based off their expected times. T is going to be in a certain area that you feel that you can capitalize on, and then you set it up so if it's successful, you can hit them from multiple different directions. So in our case of our setup, it would be the guy upper B. He would be making that calculated risk by pushing upper B. If he hears one guy go lower B after you guys win that battle lower B. So the other guy that boosts cat would be either spotting long, smoking off long, or delayed cat. Most likely delayed cat. And you could figure out a smoke from cat to smoke off the top portion of mid somewhere along maybe these lines, or this normal smoke would be fine, and then you guys all take the battle lower B. And I think you can even boost over the smoke, but I'm not positive. So then you all take the battle lower B. In case that there's someone there, you can take the chance at peeking. All depends how you load throw the smoke. In this case, you could take it, and while you guys are taking the challenge lower B, and there happens to be one Xbox, you can then confidently jump up on the railing and kill the guy. All depends how you throw your smokes. So that's how you kind of use expected player positions. You kind of pick an area on the map where you actually want to aggress and take aggress into and kill one of the terrorists, or maybe even two, and then potentially fall back and let your teammates make the educated decisions if they want to play aggressive based off new information. And then you kind of fall into a mid-round setup, and that's based off what your in-game leaders calls. So that's expected player positions. So before we move on to the next two, as a summary, we'll just do a summary at the end. So the next thing is vulnerabilities. And vulnerabilities. The thing about vulnerabilities is based off your spawn CT side versus the best spawns on T side. So in this example, we're going to do long A. So here's the thing. The best spawn as a T to get out long A, or at least be peeking, is 8 seconds. The worst spawn is 8 seconds as well. So you guys kind of meet here. Right, so with that in mind, you kind of have to make that decision on how to play long A based off having terrible spawns, whether it be one person that has a bad spawn or both the long A guys having bad spawns. Because you kind of want to, you know that this guy long A with the best spawn is going to have very good flashes to get him out, and the chances of him being successful against the CTs with bad spawns in the same potential seconds is I would give that advantage to the T. I would say the T would be more successful in that situation, and in general you might have to actually respect it. But how can you go about not respecting it? So when you know this vulnerability is 8 seconds, and that's where you're at the most. That's where you're most likely to be challenged that long and lose it pretty consistently, based off the terrorist having an 8-second time to get out long. His teammates are flashing for him. The smokes are raining in, and the smoke will most likely be down and on the ground before you guys even probably get to about right here. So you take this information and you kind of develop a CT side in order to capitalize on the vulnerability. So the vulnerability would be having bad spawns, but you still want to play long. So knowing that you have bad spawns, you set up into a setup which would let you take a battle and still take long control without having to give it up. So multiple things you can do based off time. So you could just smoke off the long doors. That guy then could go on to A plat. That's if the timings work out correctly. These guys could line up across the wall, and the purpose of that smoke is not to worry about the guys indoors. So then this guy, there was a flash for you, and maybe he angles out a little bit. He pops for you, and you guys peek. And the reason why the smoke is thrown is because it pushes these people out into areas that they are more susceptible to that flash. Now obviously if someone's indoors posted on this, they're probably going to be blind. So that's how you create vulnerabilities throughout the maps. You look at your bad spawns as a CT, and you look at your best spawns as a T, and look at the areas where you potentially are going to be vulnerable to a fast explode or a fast rush. So this would be a really good example with long A. So the whole purpose of this is to kind of like limit the amount of utility that you use as a CT, and it definitely does that. It's just all this stuff needs to be communicated to your teammates, and so they understand the reasoning behind it. So in the case that I'll use the example with the vulnerability case and the guy getting out long A very fast. In the case that you want to actually take the battle long and do it with intelligence, which teams might actually feel more confident doing, without knowing this, these guys could be wasting a lot of flashes and being unsuccessful. Maybe it's successful at keeping them back, but unsuccessful in terms of like killing anyone or winning any gun battles, even potentially losing them. So the point they might start wasting a lot of utility to fall all the way back when you know that, okay, how long guys have bad spawns, let's go into a pop flash setup to make sure that they can get out long. You know, obviously you can throw many different flashes and smokes, but I'm just giving you guys the idea on how to kind of figure it out based off your teammates that play certain spots and their spawns. Now people may say, well, just because our long guys have bad spawns doesn't mean the T's are actually going to have the good spawn. You're right, but it's all about keeping the game in control. Controlling the game in your hands. It's not about what ifs and whatnot. It's about making sure you guard against, bad rounds from occurring. And that's really the point of all this. So that's vulnerability. So far we've gone over planned aggression, vulnerabilities, expected player positions. Now, mind you, with vulnerabilities, it's mainly based off the T's best spawn and the CT's worst spawn. Primarily. You can take it a little bit farther and do other spawn timings, but primarily that's where you're going to be at the weakest. CT side is when you have a bad spawn to a location, they have good spawns, and they just run all over you. So the next thing is visibility of strats, and this is more of a T-side tactic that you can use this for. So basically, I'm going to be making another video on how to be more free-flowing as a team, but this will hint at it and how you can do it. The free-flowing as a team, become more free-flowing, is going to be based off what the CT show you and how you can capitalize on it. So I'm going to give you an example here. And this is how you test feasibility of a strat. So let's do one timing right now. So I think this is about the best spawn you can have for long, or it's over there. But in the case of this is fine.
Smoke.
So that takes 11 seconds to pop. 11 seconds. Let's write that down. 11 seconds. Now we're going to do the other spot you can throw a long A smoke from.
Smoke.
That's 13 seconds. Alright, so what does this mean? So first it tells you is, okay, if they throw that smoke, we can disregard it when we have the best spawns as a T. So as we said, it takes 8 seconds to get to the doors. So I'm on 128 tick, just so everyone knows that the smoke from the best spawn took 11 seconds. The smoke from cars took 13 seconds to land. So when the T's have the worst, the best spawns for long, they can disregard that smoke. So now what else does that tell you? When you know that the CTs are throwing that smoke, obviously that there's going to be a delay somewhere with the A setup, somewhere. There's a weakness somewhere on the map. So that smoke is being thrown, and let's say they throw that smoke, it's the guy that is opping from game helper A, and he comes here. So I'm going to do something real quick for you. So feasibility of a strat, here we go. Let me I'll show you this guy's real quick.
Laying down smoke.
So you throw that smoke. "12 seconds, 13, and 15. So it takes 15 seconds for this guy to throw this smoke from there with the best spawn to get up here. This is 12, 13, and this is 15. So what does that tell you? I'm going to show you what that means. So if you're playing against a team that primarily plays a 2-3 setup, 3A, then 2, and 2 towards B at the beginning of the round, and you have a guy long come here, and he sees that they're smoking long A doors from some type of position. So not to go on too much of a tangent, I see a lot of people watch the long push from over here, and I see a lot of people watch the long push from like this. This doesn't do anything to your for your team. It does absolutely nothing. All good players, they watch the long push from in here. Alright? Because this is the only way they can gain intel. They can listen, they can hear, and they can see where the smoke comes from, and see if they're actually smoking it off. So you know that if they smoke long A from a position that's far away, you can somehow take a guess that, okay, they're smoking long A from elevator boxes. Okay. Alright? It's pretty simple. So then, what does that mean? What does this mean? So this is how you test if whether or not, based off what a CT's doing, what CT team's doing, what is actually a feasible strat. So we're actually going to go T side here, and remind you, it took 15 seconds to get to the top of cat with the best spawn after throwing that smoke. It took 12 to 13 seconds to get to the corner, elbow.
So that we may be free. We shall rule the day. Take care of yourself. We will defeat the mercenaries.
Okay, here we go. So you're playing against a team that runs 3-2, and the two guys always go to B. So you might waste a flash.
I'm throwing a flash.
So you beat this guy here 100% of the day, as long as you can get fast cat. So you just took cat control with 2 flashes. That's pretty simple. That's pretty easy. So what else? So it took me 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Well, 10 to 11. 10 to 11 seconds to take cat control. Based off knowing the timings it takes to throw a smoke and for it to land in a certain area, and being able to identify where that smoke is being landing from, and figuring out a way to counter this. So here we go. What you can start taking this into other areas as well. So here we go. So best B spawn is like right here. So again, it takes
Flashback.
that flash probably doesn't work, but 14 seconds,
Flashback.
and that would most likely make him fall off. And how many? And that you can start figuring out from there. Is this an ideal play based off the time it takes? No, obviously this would not be an ideal thing to do
I'm throwing a flashback.
with the lower B spawn, because the timings are a little bit long, and the flash that you could potentially throw is not really super effective, and you might potentially get picked in case that they're not playing 2B at the beginning of the round. So from here you can determine that if you're able to identify that smoke,
I'm throwing a flashback.
it might not be, it's obviously not a good idea to go lower B and flash cat if you plan on taking fast cat. So, but being able to identify that smoke based off knowing the timings, now you know that, hey, if I can get 2 guys to go fast cat, I can take cat control with 2 flashes and maybe a smoke with my oppo picking mid 100% of the day. And that's if they're playing long. So when you see that smoke come, and you know the timings, you know that first we know, okay, if we see that smoke, we know we can plow through it when we have the good spawn. 2, we know if we see that smoke, we can get cat control in 10 to 11 seconds. So no matter how you put it, somewhere is always being able to be being able to be the map control is always being able to be taken if you're able to identify that smoke, because someone's always being played late. So let's say they're boosting cat and then throwing the smoke. Obviously now long is open. You know, generally most people don't play 4A. You see my point here? So that's how you identify feasibility of strats and being able to call things. You know the timings, you identify what you see the CT opponents doing, and you try and capitalize on it based off knowing the timings. So as we already said here, the smoke coming from all the way over there, we can disregard. So because we beat it by the 8-second mark if we have the best long spawn. 2, if they go up cat, long is still ours. So you start taking these timings, and then you take it with you take these timings, and then you kind of identify what the CTs are doing and what they're showing you. So in this case, it's a smoke. You know the timings it takes for the smoke to be thrown from 2 different spots. It's 11 seconds and about 13-14 seconds from there. So you know that on the best spawn, you can disregard the smoke. So based off knowing that, somewhere at A is always being played weak, primarily. And if it's not, someone else is being played weak. So in the case that they're sending 4A at the beginning of the round, then it's mid, and then it's B. It all depends how well you can actually read and figure out the team. So in the case that they're sending one guy here that actually plays on the right hand side, then this side of the map is being played weak. It all depends how you can figure out your team. And obviously the biggest indicator would be able to determine if there's only one person crossing B. That would be the indicator that that smoke is coming from the fourth guy that rotates mid. So in summary, let me see how long this went. It's about 35 minutes. So in summary, we went over planned aggression, we went over expected player positions, vulnerabilities, and feasibility of a strat. Determining the feasibility of a strat based off knowing the timings of what the CTs are doing. So here we go. I'll do a brief summary. So planned aggression is based off a route, off of a spawn to a certain area. In our discussion, it was a straight line into B, which was 8 seconds to peek tunnels. This tells your teammate that he can now turn his back and peek tunnels, making this guy's flash pretty useless. So in the case of this discussion, since we're here, we'll find out what time this flash actually goes off.
Flashback.
So it's about 8-second mark. So it's pretty much a useless. So you can just sit here, 8 seconds, bam. You're not going to get blind by much. And you take the battle into the plan aggression because that's your plan for the round. So that's the purpose of plan aggression. It is to take a spawn, your best spawn, versus the best spawn a T team could have, and try to make some planned aggro play. So in this case, the most susceptible site to do this on would be B, because as we've shown that the T's with the best spawn take 9 to 10 seconds to get up to peak upper tons. CTs take 8 seconds to peak upper tons. So you can give your teammates the confidence that this side is actually cleared out. In the case that it doesn't go wrong, something goes wrong, you just have to molly out the site off the right hand side. The plan is to use the limited amount of utility to actually get into upper B and take control, because that's what we want to do. We want to play aggressive and take map control, and then have a mid-round adjustment doing this. And I referenced Fnatic vs Navi, IEM, Katowice, DDoS 2. It was the first match of the tournament, 2016, and you'll see that Fnatic actually pushes 3 upper B one of the rounds. So it's a feasible strat. The hardest team that you'll ever play CT side is a team that plays aggressive and does mid-round adjustments, or just in general a CT side team that does a lot of mid-round adjustments, a lot of gambles that come out successfully. So that's planned aggression. And planned aggression, good spawn versus good spawn. You take your good spawn CT side and figure out the planned aggression that you're trying to do for it. So in our example, we were sending 3B. So you can do this with other spawns. Maybe even do it to determine the timings for fast cat and see if it's actually feasible to push cat, and how fast you can get up cat before to beat the guy lower B, and what type of mid support you need to have there in order to get this guy as deep as possible without this guy doing anything. So this is how you start taking timings even further. So that's plan aggression. Good spawn CT side versus good spawn T side. The plan is to take your good CT spawn and make a play into it, and most of the time it's planned aggression. So the second thing that we went over was expected player position. So in this case, we took our best B spawn and found out how long it took to get lower B. So it was 11 seconds to right here and 14 seconds to get right here on the best spawn. When you do expected player positions, ideally you want to take all your spawns except for the best spawns toward the opposite side of the map. I would say it's pointless, especially if you play a good team most of the time. They're going to take their good spawn. Most teams are actually probably going to try and do something with this good spawn. whether it be pass the op to the guy and pick long, something. Good teams are always going to see their opportunities to use what the game gives them. So in that case, you determine a refined average. And if you watch the first video, you would understand what I'm talking about. Refined average here. You would take that timing to develop a strategy based off the expected time that a player is going to be in lower B. So you use this against teams that regularly run defaults. So on this map, a very common default is 1 upper B, 1 lower B, 2 top mid, and 1 outside long. Alright, that's kind of common. And then you develop a strat to punish this guy. Either by sending two men to kill this guy, you figure out the flashes to be thrown, and you figure out the smokes that need to be thrown. As you always show, I showed you a little couple smokes that could potentially be used in a flash. And then you start gaining, you put your players that are solo at one of the sites to gather information. In our example, it was in B. So this guy would be making sure that no one pushes B and listening. So if when you guys do the mid aggression, kill the guy lower B, and then he hears one guy go lower B, he can now alert you that there's another person going lower B, and now this guy can take the educated, calculated risk by pushing upper B. Or at least aggro peeking this, clearing out the angles, and going in. Calculated risk. Doesn't look smart on paper, but again, it's just how you plan on the round going. So with this, when it works, when your expected player position strategies work, where you continue to play aggressive against a CT side team, and aggressive against a T side team, and it continues to work, and when you want to run it again, as I said, you need to add time to the expected average generally. If the team continues to run a default, the more you play aggressive against a team, the more uncertain that they're going to become and the more slow that they're going to take things. So even though it takes 11 seconds to get here, it might now take like 20 seconds for this guy to even get up here, where he's more susceptible of possibly getting deep dicked. You know what I mean? So as it continues to work, you have to add time to the average for uncertainty and overall the T's being unsure what you guys are going to do. So the problem with time-based strategy, and I said this already in the demo, is that you can't always expect the players to be there. Again, that's the problem with time-based strategy on this, is that you can't always take a guess. It's not always going to work out 100%. Due to just play styles. In this strategy that I talked about, you would have to create more timings just in case. So in case that you want to make a timing to get to Xbox right there, you would actually want to make a timing to get across green box and even top mid. You would actually want to create these timings to see what other variables that you need to control while you do this. And that would also be a timing it takes to get to green box from speedway and the long way. So, because the reason why you wouldn't want to do all those variables, then you kind of figure out what the smoke that you need to throw. So in my example, obviously you would need to throw a smoke that covers you from those guys. In the case that the one guy that's going cat, being boosted cat, and the two guys are aggressing from mid, the guys aggressing mid are smoking themselves out. You're potentially throwing a flash to help them. So you would need to throw a smoke to actually support them. And in case that there's a guy Xbox, you need a smoke there to actually cover you from the guy's top mid. So, expected player positions. Probably the most inconsistent time-based strategy you can do. But again, it's just ways how you could play aggressive as a CT side team. And try your best to be consistent out of it, because a lot of teams might actually play better by playing aggressive at the beginning of the round or sometime during the round and moving into a mid-round adjustment, mid-round setup. Some teams are just better at playing like that, and this is again a way to do it. So the next thing that we went into is vulnerabilities. So vulnerabilities was basically the CT side's worst spawns to an area and the T side's best spawns. So this starts to develop setups for you guys and what setups you need to run when you identify that your teammates that play a certain spot are vulnerable. So in our case, it was the long A example where our worst spawns to long A was the same time it took for this guy to be peeking. Peeking door and getting outdoor. So you would have to figure out a setup that would 100% nullify this guy that could be potentially at doors. Could. But it doesn't matter if it's could. It's all about controlling the game in your hands. So a lot of things you could do. You could throw the smoke, force him out, and then this guy comes up here and throws a pot flash for you while you guys are both lined up. That was the example I give. In that case, you guys give you a chance at getting across long and clearing it out and making sure you hold long and not giving any in controlling the variables that you know. So in the case, this is based off time and what you need to run based off times. So obviously when you have very good spawns, you might not need to do this. Maybe a simple pot flash, or the most very common flash that's thrown over there, or even this one.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Whichever one you decide to throw. So the thing is, a lot of people would be like, well, he doesn't need to throw that. You guys don't need to do this. No, you do, because you can't actually throw a flash that's always going to blind this guy. So in the case of this guy might peek the moment that flash blows off. Like the moment before he peeks, the flash blows off, and bam, you're still dead. So you can't let those small little mistakes actually hinder your round. And he might even know. He might know the timings. He might know, okay, I'm here, flash pops, boom. You know, he might know the timings that, oh, it takes longer than 8 seconds for them to throw the smoke and land. So I don't need to instantly peek this. I can just wait for the flash, and then he peeks. You see what I mean? So, but that adds time to him, and that starts making all your smoke that you throw more effective, and then makes sure your play consistent. Because all you did was use a smoke and a flash to take control along when you had bad spawns. That's basically determining vulnerabilities and how to handle them. The next part was just feasibility of strats, and that's basically when you take something a CT team is doing, determine the timings that is being used, and figure out ways to just slaughter them with it. So in our case, we used the smoke being thrown for long A from here. If you can identify the team that's throwing the smoke, you would know that somewhere on part of this map, someone's playing weak. It's playing weak somewhere. So this could be either cat. So the cat, it could technically be anywhere on this map except for B, because someone could potentially still hold B by themselves. So somewhere is always, if you can identify someone throwing the smoke, map control is being given. It could be long A, because they could be getting boosted to cat. It could be cat, because this guy takes 15 seconds to get all the way to this corner and 13 to get to here. So, and as I demonstrated, it takes only 10 seconds to go fast cat and to flash this guy that's coming this way. So again, that's how you determine feasibility of strats. You determine the timings, you see what the team is doing against you, you know the timings, and you know exactly what to do to counter them. And that's how you determine how feasible a strat is when the team that you're playing against as a T is doing something against you. Now you might be in a match and you might not know the timings, but that's why you do these timings that are common practices. It's very common practice to throw the smoke from here. It's very common practice to smoke off long A from here. So anywhere else that the smoke is being thrown from long A, it's gonna probably be generally somewhere within these timings. So let me give you another example just for the case of the summary. If I come right here, and this is the best spawn for to go cat, just in A in general. And let's say I know a smoke from right here. I still took 10 seconds to get there. So this guy is still in a vulnerable position, and he's still gonna get blind from the flash that the cat is throwing. So again, that's how you determine when you can start running just like really weird strats to gain map control really fast based off knowing the timings of common things that teams do. But the hardest part about this is determining if that's what the team's doing. So in this case, I discussed a default that's being ran, how to determine this. If you need to determine if the smoke is being thrown, first you have to test with your team if you can actually see the smoke coming through the air. That'd be probably number one. If you can actually see it, you can kind of look at the timing. If it's around 11 seconds all the time, and that's a good indicator that the smoke is being thrown from there. And you can kind of go off the flashes that's being thrown for the guys long. So let's say if there's a flash here, and the moment that flash blows up, that smoke is landing. So let's see. I'm pretty sure it should show there should be a general look to this.
Smoke!
So you should be able to see it. And you should be able to identify it in some way. So you actually might be able to spot it right here. See it coming. So if you can just identify if that smoke is being thrown, then you know the timings, you know the feasibility of other strats that you can run and take map control with limited amount of utility. So then you can get up cat and have a ton of utility to execute on A. And then it just tells you just a wide range of things that are happening based off one smoke. Pretty crazy, right? So you just have to kind of test certain things to see if you can actually figure out an easy way to determine if this guy is actually throwing the smoke.
I'm throwing smoke.
Because obviously that would make things a lot easier. And also you could probably tell by the sound it lands, how it lands. So in this case, let's see.
Smoke!
So it would probably be best to figure out a way to spot it. So anyways, that's a summary of using time-based strategy as a CT and one tactic as a T. And the three CT side tactics is plan aggression, vulnerabilities, expected player positions. And the T side strategy is determining feasibility of a strat based off being able to identify what the CTs are doing. So in this case, no matter if you could figure out that smoke's being thrown for long, it automatically tells you somewhere is just waiting to be taken. Something's calling. It's either long, it's cat, and it could potentially even be being mid, a fast mid split, because if they're dedicating one person at A to throw it, that means someone's not watching cat. That means there's only two people going long. If someone's throwing it from the guy that plays B side, that means mid and B are ready to be split fast. All based off knowing timings and one smoke. Pretty simple. So the next video is kind of broaden on this subject on how to play more free flowing based off knowing what your opponents are doing. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know if I didn't explain something well. This is my second take doing it, so I think the first take was better. But the summary basically explains it very well. So if people are kind of confused right now, I'll do the most brief summary. Planned aggression is good spawns versus good spawns into planned aggression. So in my case, it was the 3 upper B push. Expected player positions is just picking an area and a map, determining the timings for it, and then determining an aggressive strategy to capitalize on it. You have to do majority of the spawns for the area that you're trying to capitalize on it, and you have to do the timings, just a loose average for the other spots surrounding it. So then we talked about vulnerabilities and determining vulnerabilities based off times that you have based off bad spawns as a CT versus good spawns versus a good spawn as a T. So we use long A for example and showed a potential setup that you can use to counter it. The purpose of this is to control the game, create aggressive setups that could potentially be more consistent, and limit the amount of utility you have to use at the beginning of the round. So I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know in my email in the description box if I did not explain something well, or if you're just confused about a point on the video. I will gladly reply to the email. But other than that, have a good day guys, be safe out there, and use it effectively.